Most people think their online identity is something they actively control. A LinkedIn profile, a website, a few social accounts.
But your digital identity keeps evolving, even when you start paying attention. Old bios remain indexed. Abandoned accounts stay visible. Outdated content continues shaping perception long after you've moved on.
And before anyone contacts you, they've already searched your name. They've already compared signals across platforms and formed an impression.
That's the dangerous illusion of the modern internet. Your digital presence is not a profile. It's a system of signals, and that system is always operating in the background.
In this episode of the Age of Digital Stewardship, we explore how fragmented identities quietly damage trust, credibility, authority, and opportunity.
We break down reputation drift, abandoned accounts, inconsistent branding, search visibility, authenticity versus optimization, and why unmanaged identities slowly fragment over time.
Because the question is no longer whether your identity is being shaped online.
The real question is, are you shaping it intentionally or discovering it after it has already shifted?
I want to focus entirely on that illusion of control right out of the gate, because it feels like just the ultimate modern blind spot.
Oh, absolutely. It really is.
Like, we close our laptops, and subconsciously we just assume our digital footprint hits pause.
Yeah.
We tend to think of our profiles like, I don't know, business cards sitting neatly in a drawer. Like, they just wait there until we decide to hand them out to someone.
Right. And that assumption could not be more backward.
Yeah.
Because the internet, well, doesn't pause when you log off.
No, not at all.
Decisions are being made about you constantly, based entirely on this autonomous system of signals. I mean, search algorithms are preserving pages from years ago.
Right.
Dormant platforms are constantly being indexed and, re-indexed.
Yeah, they never stop crawling.
Exactly. So all those old posts, the forgotten side projects, the abandoned portfolios, they are actively forming first impressions that you never intended to leave.
It reminds me of this thought experiment. Imagine a ruthless blind archivist, and this archivist's only job is to build a profile of you to show to the world. But they don't care about timelines.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They don't care about context. They just wander around picking up scraps. So they grab a resume from 2014 you left on a park bench. They grab a bio from 2018 taped to a lamppost. And they just, they stitch it all together into this weird Frankenstein version of your career.
That's horrifying.
Right. And then they present that to the person trying to hire you today. I mean, it sounds completely unhinged in the physical world, but that is exactly how search algorithms operate.
That archivist metaphor is spot on, really, because the algorithm does not possess human intuition.
No, it just sees data.
Exactly. It cannot look at a bio from 5 years ago and infer, oh, well, they have probably been promoted since then. It just serves up whatever it finds.
Which makes me wonder, how many old, dormant profiles do you think are out there representing you right now? I want you to stop for a second, drop a comment below, and let us know your guess, because I bet the number you come up with is entirely too low.
I would guarantee it's too low. And when we look at how those dormant profiles interact with your current ones, we hit the core problem. The information doesn't just age. It starts to actively contradict itself across the web.
And this is the platform fragmentation piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have all these scattered nodes of information, and because you aren't managing them, they simply stop agreeing with each other.
So let's walk through the mechanics of that, because the sources paint a pretty clear picture of how this just destroys opportunities. Let's say a potential client is trying to figure out who you are.
Right.
They search your name and find platform A, maybe your current professional network, and it labels you as a consultant.
Okay, but then they stumble onto platform B, right? Like maybe an industry directory you signed up for years ago.
Yeah.
And that one labels you as a freelancer.
Right. So already there's a disconnect. And then they click over to platform C, which is a personal portfolio site, and they see the last updated date is 2019.
Oh, that's the worst.
And just to, maximize the chaos, let's say Platform D is actively promoting a highly specific service that you stopped offering during the pandemic.
So now put yourself in the shoes of the observer. How does their brain process those conflicting signals?
It's just a mess.
A human being looking to hire someone or partner with them or even invite them to speak, they do not have the time or the desire to solve the mystery of your timeline.
They aren't detectives.
Right. They don't pull out a whiteboard to figure out your career trajectory.
Yeah.
When they encounter incoherence, It simply registers as unreliability.
You just close the tab.
Exactly. They bounce. Their clarity evaporates. And the moment clarity is gone, your professional authority goes with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If people cannot instantly understand who you help, or if you're even still active in your field, they just move on to the next person whose narrative is coherent. Confusion is, it's the quiet killer of authority.
I hear that, but I have to push back here for a second. Because when I read about auditing old accounts and like tracking down every mention of my name, my immediate instinct was, isn't this just ego surfing?
I get that.
It feels a little gross,
Yeah.
like obsessing over yourself. Is hunting down an old 2015 account really that critical to my professional life?
I understand completely why it feels like vanity, but shifting that mindset is crucial. We are not talking about vanity. Here we are talking about risk mitigation.
Okay, risk mitigation.
Yes, an abandoned account is a literal liability. It is like moving out of a house but leaving a window wide open and just hoping nobody climbs in.
Okay, explain the mechanism there. How does an old profile turn into an open window?
Well, let's look at the 4 distinct categories of risk that these accounts create. First, you have security vulnerabilities.
Like getting hacked.
Right.
Hmm.
A dormant account from a decade ago is likely tied to a password you used heavily back then, or it's connected to an unmonitored email address. Bad actors specifically target these forgotten accounts to breach larger networks.
Oh, wow. So it's a backdoor.
Exactly. Second, you have the outdated search results we just discussed, which end up polluting your narrative.
Right, the Frankenstein archivist just handing out bad info.
Precisely. Third, and this is where it gets really dangerous, are the reputation risks.
How so?
Imagine an old Web 2.0 blogging platform you used in, 2009. You totally forgot it existed. But that platform gets bought out by a spam network.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because your name was attached to the original URL, and because that domain has 15 years of history, search engines might prioritize that highly suspicious link when someone searches your name.
That's wild. So suddenly your name is directing clients to malicious content, and you have absolutely no idea.
None. The algorithm trusts the age of the link more than it cares about what the link is morphed into.
That is terrifying.
It is. And the fourth risk is broken trust signals. If a client finds a defunct profile or clicks a dead link on your website, it signals a lack of attention to detail. Subconsciously, they wonder, well, if they abandon their own professional presence, are they going to abandon my project?
All right, you convinced me. It really isn't vanity. It's basically the digital equivalent of locking your doors and maintaining your home.
Exactly.
So how do we fix it? We need to move from like passive exposure to active management. We clearly need a master key to bring all these scattered nodes into alignment.
And the most effective tool for this is building what we call a core identity sheet.
A core identity sheet.
Yes. It does not need to be complicated. It is just a single, centralized document where you establish your absolute current reality.
So what goes in it?
You write out your bio, your primary positioning statement, you select your main profile photo, you outline your active service descriptions, and you list your current working links.
And then that document becomes like the definitive source code for your identity everywhere. No variation.
None whatsoever. You must treat consistency as critical infrastructure. Every single platform where your name appears is a node in your network.
Right.
When those nodes sync up perfectly, the system projects extreme coherence, and the observer feels immediate confidence in your authority.
You know, this ties into everything we cover on the YouTube NCWEBDEV channel. And honestly, before we get into how these systems slowly erode over time, if you want to ensure you don't miss all the new stuff coming out around topics like this, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube NCWEBDEV channel. Treat it as one of those key nodes keeping your own knowledge base updated.
That's a great point because updating that knowledge base is the only way to prevent reputation decay. Identity fragmentation does not happen in some dramatic explosion. It happens incrementally.
I can attest to this personally, man. I Googled myself a few months ago and realized a blog post I wrote in 2010, it was this highly dramatic, just overly enthusiastic review of a terrible movie, was ranking on page 1 of search results.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it wasn't me anymore. But I had neglected my more recent profile, so the search algorithm just grabbed whatever had the most historical weight.
That is the perfect example of operational neglect.
Yeah, that's a good term for it.
A neglected website, an inactive professional profile, an old passion project. When you stop feeding current data into the system, the old data just naturally rises to the surface.
It's like death by 1,000 unupdated bios.
It really is. The gap between your daily reality and your digital representation quietly widens. It's a slow erosion, but the good news is that it is entirely preventable if you treat identity management as a recurring standard operating procedure rather than, a crisis you deal with every 5 years.
But here is where the psychology of this gets fascinating to me. When someone has that moment of realization when they see the 2010 movie review, or they see the contradictory job titles, the modern instinct is to panic and wildly overcorrect.
Oh, they swing the pendulum completely the other way.
Right. They swing from total neglect to hyper-optimization. They start building these completely synthetic identities purely to please the algorithms.
And that introduces the tension between authenticity and optimization. We see this constantly today. People realize they need a personal brand, so they optimize every single word for maximum reach.
It's all keywords.
Yes. But when you build an identity solely to satisfy an algorithm, human observers detect the lack of authenticity immediately.
You can sense it within seconds of landing on a profile. It feels incredibly manufactured.
It does.
You read a bio, and it's just a string of buzzwords. It's performative positioning. The expertise feels exaggerated, and every interaction feels like an artificial credibility signal, Like it's designed to game a system rather than connect with a human.
And this brings us to a concept called the stewardship principle. Optimized reach without genuine coherence creates a highly fragile foundation.
Fragile how?
Well, algorithms might amplify your signal and put you in front of 1,000 people, but an algorithm cannot sustain your reputation. Optimization might win the initial attention, but only authenticity sustains trust over the long term.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
The internet is impossibly crowded, right? Algorithms entirely dictate reach and visibility. If they control who even sees our work, don't we have to play their game? Don't we have to optimize just to survive online?
You absolutely have to understand the environment. You need to use the right metadata and clear language so the system knows how to categorize you.
Right, so a little optimization is necessary.
Yes, but the line is crossed when your optimization fundamentally distorts who you are. If you win the click by projecting an artificial persona, you inevitably lose the trust.
The bait and switch.
Exactly. The moment that potential client gets on a Zoom call with you and realizes the hyper-optimized digital titan they read about does not match the person on the screen, the relationship is over.
Because the coherence broke. The signal didn't match the reality.
Exactly. And the ultimate arena where this coherence is tested is search visibility. Search visibility is essentially your identity architecture.
We all know Google is a search engine, but the source material asks us to view it through a completely different lens. It asks us to look at it as a reputation engine.
Yes, that is a critical shift.
It is the credibility filter. It is the automated background check system for the entire modern world.
Think about the mechanics of how it builds your page one results. If you do not actively shape your digital narrative, search engines will blindly assemble one for you out of whatever scraps they find lying around.
The Archivist again.
The Archivist. And what appears on that first page shapes a client's perception before you ever exchange a single email.
So let's make this highly actionable for everyone listening. What are the specific audit steps we need to take control of this architecture?
The first step is auditing those page one results. You need to look objectively at what surfaces when someone searches your name. Are the results current? Are they coherent? Do they represent your core identity sheet?
In fact, I want you to pause right now. Open a new tab and Google your own name. Take a hard look at page one and then leave a comment below about the most surprising thing that showed up. Is it an old high school sports roster? A dormant MySpace page, a business you closed down 6 years ago? Seriously, let us know.
It's always eye-opening. And once you see what is surfacing, step 2 is aligning your profile metadata.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
This is the technical side of the Archivist metaphor. Search crawlers rely on the descriptions and titles across your platforms to understand who you are. If your LinkedIn title says one thing and your website title tag says another, those inconsistencies confuse the crawler.
Ah, right.
You have to ensure the hidden text on your platforms matches your current reality.
And step 3 is the cleanup phase, right?
Yes. Step 3 is removing or updating old content. You have to hunt down those outdated media mentions, the duplicate accounts you accidentally created, the stale pages indexed from an old version of your website.
Because they're still out there working against you.
Exactly. They continue to shape your narrative whether you intend them to or not. You must either take them down entirely or update them so they clearly point visitors to your current home base.
This emphasizes the biggest takeaway for me. Your digital presence is never finished. Identity stewardship isn't a weekend project.
No, definitely not.
It isn't personal branding hype or some fleeting social media obsession. It is long-term consistency. You have to apply the exact same discipline to your online identity that you would apply to your finances or your health.
And there are 4 ongoing steps to maintain that discipline. It starts with the maintain phase. You keep your primary platforms updated as your career
Yes,
evolves.
that's step one.
Then you move to the review phase. You have to periodically audit what the internet says about you, running that Google search we just talked about every few months.
Which naturally leads to the correct phase. When you find the outdated content or the broken links during your review, you actively address them. You don't just leave them sitting there.
And finally, the align phase. You ensure every single platform continuously reflects that master key, your core identity sheet.
Because the universal rule of the internet is that unmanaged identities eventually fragment. Things break, platforms change, information ages. The goal we are striving for here isn't perfection. Nobody has a flawless digital footprint.
Definitely not.
The goal is coherence, maintained deliberately over time.
If we circle back to the core premise we started with, your online identity exists whether you manage it or not. The question is not whether a narrative is being formed about you. The question is who or what is forming it.
Wow. Yeah.
Digital stewardship is not about becoming an artificial hyper-optimized robot. It is about remaining coherent and ensuring that what the world sees is a deliberate, honest reflection of who you are today.
Are you shaping it intentionally or are you discovering it after it has shifted? That is the exact question you have to ask yourself. Now, speaking of automated systems that shape our lives without us realizing it next time, in episode 4, we are tackling information stewardship, what you consume controls you.
Wow, that's going to be a good one.
We're going to examine how modern information environments operate on a psychological level and what it means to navigate them with real intention. We'll be breaking down algorithmic influence, attention manipulation, and cognitive dependency. It is going to fundamentally change how you view your daily feed.
The systems shaping your daily decisions are often completely invisible by design. We are going to make them visible.
Until then, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We talked about how your digital presence is a system of signals that never turns off. Imagine you never log into another account starting today. You just walk away. What story will your digital footprint tell in 10 years? As those abandoned accounts sit there, as the links break, as the information slowly ages in the background, is that ghost profile a legacy you are comfortable leaving behind?